Jimmy Johnson currently leads the Bank of America 500 at Charlotte. We are at lap 17. If you just joined our coverage, Jeff Gordon bumped the wall on lap 1, then again on lap 3, and has been on pit road on lap 10 for right side tires. He is the only car not on the lead lap. He's being shown in 43rd position, 1 lap down. There is the 24 car and the damage to the right side.
Watching his lap times, he's fairly competitive. He's running speeds that are very close to the leader's lap times, even though he has some new right side tires. So car's not hurt as bad as we would think after hitting the wall that hard.
Jimmy Johnson is the guy they're chasing, Jeff Gordon's teammate. Dave.
And starting up at the front of this field because of qualifying being rained out is a huge advantage according to driver number 48. But if you talk about the other advantage they've had here at this racetrack, he's a 5-time winner. He said, you know, some of that advantage has gone away from us. The changing of this racetrack, especially the repaving, has brought the other competitors closer to us. But I don't know how much closer, guys. He still looks pretty good here at the Lowe Motor Speedway.
You know, they were talking about maybe losing some of their mojo. They finished 39th here back in May when they had an engine problem, and finished 14th in this race a year ago. So 2 races in a row they haven't had a top 10.
Here's a guy that's the fastest car on the track, has been for about the last 6 or 7 laps. Tony Stewart's literally been 0.2 of a second faster than Jimmy Johnson, who's leading the race. But he's just mowing these guys down. And he's normally not a guy that runs the middle and top side. He usually wants to be on the bottom, but he's making time up there.
When he's good, you usually see that left front tire below the white line going through the corner, but he's working that high line real well and making some ground.
And there he goes to the bottom as we talked about
this
that.
is where you normally see Tony Stewart run well.
We mentioned at the top of the show, he thought he had the race won here back in May. Pit strategy did not change tires on that final pit stop with 12 laps to go, and with 3 laps to go, lost the right front tire. Casey King goes by and takes the win. One of the cars we talked about just among us today for maybe being a sleeper, because he's getting better and better each and every week, is that 6 car of David Reagan.
He's got a pretty good guy. He's following up through here, too, and he's making some time towards the top 10. He's right behind Mark Martin, who's moved into the 10th spot. David Reagan in the 11th spot now. Car really looks good and solid on the racetrack. Shannon?
Well, I spoke with David Reagan's veteran crew chief, Jimmy Fenix, today. He agrees with you guys. He said David Reagan is very close to getting a victory this year, he said. But he said if we don't get a victory this year, he is very confident that they'll get one next year. But one thing he said he had to keep in mind is making the chase next season, he feels will be even more difficult than it was this season. He pointed out the fact that Mark Martin, of course, former driver of that car, will be competing for the chase, and it'll just make it that much stronger of a field.
Yeah, guys, I spent some time with David Reagan today, and I know him from his Bandolero and Legend days down in Atlanta, Georgia. And he just was frank with me. He says, darn it, Brad, you know, I'm tired of running well. I want to win a race. I want to do everything I possibly can to get this number 6 to victory lane before this season's over. I want to be in victory lane, so keep an eye on that old number 6. I think he's trying to get that hot rod up into victory lane for us.
Brad, he came so close last week, finishing 3rd, tying his career best finish at Talladega. Tony Stewart, what do they say in Hollywood? Cue the smoke, because that's Tony's nickname, and suddenly they've cued him with that win at Talladega, and he is on the march. Jamie.
He sure is. He just radioed in and said, I'm pretty good everywhere, just a tick-tight late entry. Now, if you watch his lines, he's running the middle right now, and he's able to run high early, and that's what Greg Biffle is asking for. He wants to know where Tony was running when he was behind him, because most cars only one groove about now, so that 20 car guy's already moving around this early.
Behind this battle, the 88 car, Dale Earnhardt Jr. He led the most laps here back in May, had a tire issue, ended up still getting a top 5 finish. Probably had the car to beat.
Yeah, and he's running just inches from the wall. If we'll watch him, don't prove me wrong, Junior. Stay up there now. He's been watching him. Look, I'm telling you, inches. He runs as close to the wall as anybody that we've seen in a long, long time.
Here comes Casey Kane doing just what he said. He wanted to run the bottom of the racetrack. He's making headway to the front, right on that white line.
Yeah, I saw him making a few laps a while ago, kind of testing the outside, too. So he's just kind of searching around right now, but he went by Kevin Harvick there, so he's moving back forward into the 12th spot now.
Casey has won 3 times in his last 5 starts at this racetrack. Very, very good. 3 times, I should say, in the Cup car. He's also won in the Nationwide car here. 20 26 laps in, the Bank of America 500. Jimmy Johnson has led all the way. Here's the top 5 in the Bank of America 500, lap 31. Jimmy Johnson, Tony Stewart, who was reeling in Johnson very quickly, Edwards, Earnhardt Jr., and Biffle. But Tony Stewart has just cut this lead in half the last 2 laps.
He's coming.
He's just flying. He's gone through traffic faster than Jimmy Johnson could. Looked like Jimmy's car might have gotten a little loose. So we see Tony Stewart take the lead. And this is impressive. 32 laps.
He's going to be able to work this lap traffic pretty well because he's using that extreme high line, and it doesn't look like the lap car. Now here he goes to the bottom. That's the thing. He's really got a car that can run anywhere.
Yeah.
And I don't think his traffic is going to give him any problem at all.
Yeah, that's what's been impressive. He's been able to pass them wherever they give him room. If they move there, we see Junior coming to the 3rd spot, passing Greg Biffle. He and Tony Stewart are by far the 2 fastest cars on the racetrack. They're running similar lines, but there's nobody up there where Junior's taking this thing. See Biffle still down on the bottom. Mike, what are they saying in Junior's camp?
Well, they're real happy with the race car, and they've been real happy with that race car all weekend long. In fact, you guys talked a little bit about what happened here in May when Dale Jr. led 76 laps. Well, believe me, that's very fresh in his memory. He said earlier this weekend he feels like this track now owes him one, and as a result of where they currently stand in the point standings, Tony Eury Jr. told me this morning, he says he feels like we're out of it, but there's some freedom that comes with it. He thinks they're able to be a little bit more aggressive now and exclusively go for wins, really evaluating that car, the 88, against the competition in the field. He felt like the only car in their class is the 20, and of course we've seen what the 20's been able to do so far tonight.
Hard to believe that Dale Earnhardt Jr. has never won a points-paying race at this racetrack where his daddy, Dale Sr., won 5 times.
Yeah, we've seen this from Junior too, so let's see how they keep up with the racetrack tonight. You know, they've started out a lot of races really fast and haven't been able to finish it off.
One other thing they're going to have to worry about, though, is how high he's running this race car. He runs that line very well. It makes a lot of time, but it's so risky. You get up there and get just a little bit too high, and you start banging the car around.
He'll probably tell you if he happens to get into it, it won't be nearly as hard as if he were down at the bottom.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin wishes he'd have been up the racetrack a little bit more on Talladega last week. And now he heard you guys. He's going to move down to the bottom of the racetrack, run down the inside for a while. There's the 99 car. Carl Edwards trying to hold on to that 3rd position. Mike?
Well, guys, Carl Edwards continues to make headlines, and it's headlines he does not want to make after the incident in Talladega. Well, he took exception with some of the comments Kevin Harvick had made right on our airwaves a week ago. And, well, that turned into a very heated exchange earlier this weekend. It got physical, and as a result, NASCAR called both Kevin Harvick and Carl Edwards to the NASCAR trailer following the drivers' meeting this afternoon. They kind of hashed things out, cleared the air a little bit. I spoke with Carl. He wouldn't elaborate on exactly what was said, but he did tell me at the end of that meeting, both him and Kevin shook hands, and that at least in Carl's mind, it's behind them.
As you said last night, Andy, both these guys are pros, and you just can't believe they would consider doing anything on the racetrack at these speeds.
No, I think they're going to be fine on the track. It's just off the track, and I think Junior's struggling real big here. I was watching his lap times, and it just fell way off right when he caught Carl Edwards. I don't know what's going on here.
You know, Andy, you said last night about 50 laps was all that those guys were able to get out. They started seeing some problems with the right front tire, and we know how much harder this car is on the right side tires. Here we are just under 40 laps, so could they be experiencing something here?
Yeah, he could be feeling something he doesn't like, and just going to kind of cool it a little bit.
Loose. Rotating way too much all the time.
Well, I tell you, one thing I'm concerned about for Dale Earnhardt Jr., guys, if you remember the Coca-Cola 600 this year, he was leading the race running that same line right on top of the racetrack, running loose, and just lost it a little bit and creamed that wall and destroyed his chances to win that race. So he's got me a little nervous right now because he's running that exact same line, guys.
And Rusty, good point. You heard Kenny Francis talk about this track being so hard on that right front tire, which is the issue that Earnhardt Jr. had here in May.
Just builds so much heat. This racetrack is still fairly new. It's got great asphalt and a lot of grip, and it makes a lot of heat in those tires, especially the right sides.
And we'll see him running there. Biffle, Jeff Burton, who's been running that high line also and making a lot of time. His car's been awfully good. And one thing we need to point out, too, as Tony Stewart laps a lot of these cars, Jeff Gordon, who had those problems early, now he's way back. There are 6 cars in front of him that are a lap down, so that's going to take away his chances right now, even if the caution would come out, of getting the free pass.
Probably 10 to 12 laps away from green flag pit stops. Tony Stewart is our leader here at Lowe's Motor Speedway.